So while no one can really be fully prepared for when an emergency strikes or when an accident happens,
Right.
you know, we have learned a lot of things that we were completely unprepared for
Yes, that's to say the least.
and really had no idea that we'd even have to think about.
Yeah, so we're going to share with you today some things that we have learned through this process so that you can find yourself better prepared, if ever needed.
Guys, look, we are making everyday life beautiful, even when it's chaotic.
Yeah.
And even when there are lots of hard decisions to be made. Here we are in Southern California, which we were
Not really anticipating being here. We were actually going to meet friends in Northern California.
with the kids
Yep.
and then go from there. So there was a lot of things in a very short amount of time that was really stressful to have to figure out all at once. So we thought it would be a good idea to talk with you guys about this for those of you who do full-time in an RV and even go for the weekend or long summer trips.
Yeah.
You're out on a hike, you bring the quads, you take the, you know, your toy hauler with your stuff.
Just
Stuff
everyday
happens.
life, right? Like, I mean, people twist their ankle coming out of the grocery store. What makes RVing any different?
Right. And even if you're in a household and you're watching this, honestly, a lot of these same things could apply to you too, because this is where we are. And the reason why we thought that it would be good to bring these things to you is because we were unprepared
Right.
and we had no idea that we would have to think about so many things, you know, during a medical crisis.
Almost
you know?
like an emergency checklist. We never really considered that as a part of
Yes.
our RV lifestyle.
Right. It kind of strikes you right where you're at, no matter where you are. And so to have something that you can refer to gather your thoughts and to just keep yourself kind of focused, we need to apply these things for our future.
So get a pencil, get a piece of paper, get your notes on your cell phone, and get ready to write these down because
Yeah.
you're going to want these details.
Yeah.
So, would you believe that we've been on the road for over a year and we never checked where a hospital was? Wow, guys, like many of us camp. You camp, we camp, and we never looked ever once when we got to a spot. Where's the nearest medical center?
Right. It's not something that you really want to be thinking about
No.
when you're finding a place to go vacation or you're finding your next spot to stay at. Like, oh, where's the nearest hospital? But guys, this should be a consideration. You hope for the best and prepare for the worst.
Right. Make sure when you are parked in your RV, if you're boondocking or you're in an RV park or no matter where you are at, know where the nearest hospital or emergency center. Our patient is calling us. Hang on. Hello?
Hey,
Hey, buddy, what's up?
is there a way to do like a voice recording on this Mac?
Yes? For your schoolwork?
Or
Yeah.
can you just use your phone for a voice memo and email it to yourself?
Either that or you could airdrop it. You could voice record on your phone and then just airdrop to the Mac and then turn that in.
Oh yeah, that'll
Yeah.
work too.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep, no sweat.
Bye.
Bye.
He's inside doing homework
Yeah.
because he decided that since he can't move and can't go anywhere and can't do anything, that he's gonna just do a whole bunch of homework.
Yeah.
So
That is called parent thug life right there, people. So, getting back on track, make sure you know where the nearest medical center is and the route to get there, okay? It's not just, oh, I know it's on this road, but how are you gonna get there? In the event that you don't have a map or it's late at night, your cell phone's dead, just kind of get a good glimpse at knowing where is this medical center, how can I get to this place
Right.
if I need to get there.
And if you have cell phone service wherever you're parked, then that's kind of an easy thing. Put it into your maps and there you go.
Right.
But if you don't have cell phone service, you should have that already prepared for yourself. And
Yep.
that kind of brings us to our second you need to know, you need to have.
Exactly, which is cell service. Let's say you are in a camp spot that doesn't have cell phone service. Where's that last location that you can either recall distinctly or know, like, I had service here?
Yeah.
Earmark that.
No going in if you're boondocking or if you're at an RV park, because we've been at a lot of places that had faint to no
Yeah.
cell phone service, even at an RV park. So
Right.
if it doesn't have any service, make a mental note, write it down. That's where our cell phone service point is.
Right. And why is that important? What if you actually need to call 911?
Right.
You need to be able to get to that place that has service. If you don't have service, you cannot call 911. So make sure you know where that is if in the event you're RVing or boondocking or tent camping in a place with zero service.
Right. And really, too, just for vacationers, because we're on a road trip, you know, and you're camping over for the night, it's just something to make sure that you know whether you have cell phone service or not and where the closest point is to having cell phone service.
Yep. So here's another tip that you're going to want to think about ahead of time. Know the emergency detail protocol that you're going to try to follow in the event that something happens. Well, what do we even mean when we're saying that? Dellynn and I experienced an emergency where one parent really kind of needed to travel to make decisions. One parent needed to stay back to kind of wrap up the loose ends.
And make decisions with the RV, because in that event, I had to fly and Jason had to drive.
Right.
Because driving in the RV through mountains would have taken way too long in order to get to the hospital to make those important decisions.
Correct.
So that's why we opted, I would fly out, assess the situation, reconnect, and then he could decide what to do with everything else.
We did mention to you guys last time that we are a blended family. So you have to make sure, if you're traveling as a blended family as well, who can and cannot make medical decisions based on your family dynamic. So your emergency kind of protocol plan may have to depend on what kid gets injured, how would we handle that, who travels, who wraps up loose ends, those
Right.
kind of things.
Yeah, and one really important thing that we actually haven't done that one of you guys suggested through your comments, you need to make sure that Dellynn can be a pinch hitter. We have not done that. Had there been any type of situation that I would have had to drive the rig, that would have been my first time ever. And in an emergency situation, that is not what you want.
Never want to drive for the first time. It's just not wise.
Right, especially not in that state of emotion. So one thing that we are going to do is we're gonna go out on some lonely little dirt road and help me learn how to drive the truck and the RV so that I can be a pinch hitter, because had his leg broke,
Right.
you know,
Oh man.
I just
we may have had a leg break, RV crash.
Nope, we're not going there. Mom's not going there.
Yeah.
So anyways, thank you also for that advice, because that is a really smart thing that we need to do. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there who maybe haven't thought about that, and in a pinch, in a bind,
Right.
in an emergency, can the other person step in to be the
Correct.
pinch driver? In this situation, I would have done it if I had to, but I wouldn't have ever had the practice. And that is not ever the situation that I want to be in.
Yeah, well, you just put yourself in added danger, right? It's not ideal, but if necessary, can be done.
Yeah. Okay, guys, emergency fund.
Let's talk about money.
Yeah.
Money, 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 money.
And some of you may say, yeah, that's a no-brainer. We have emergency funds.
Well, not everyone does.
But if you haven't thought about it, you need to, because this particular circumstance necessitated a lot of funds right now,
Exactly.
right up front.
Yep. Flights, extra gas,
Finding a place to park the RV,
eating out.
eating at the hospital.
And who likes eating hospital food anyway? Yeah.
Not only do you have to eat hospital food, you gotta pay for hospital food.
And listen, we understand that not every family might be in the position to be like, yeah, I've got an additional $1,500 just lying around. There are families that love to vacation where money is tight. But we would just want to encourage you, if
Yeah.
it's even just a little bit of every paycheck or just spare change, something that gives you that added bump, where over the span of time you can have a few $100s while you're traveling. It is just going to be something that you will be grateful that it's there when you need it, and we hope that you never do.
Right. And it may not even be for your immediate family. Let's just say that you're, in San Diego for a week in the summertime, and one of your parents or one of your close family members has an emergency that you need to fly to them.
Yep.
Right? And flights at the last minute, friends.
Cost a pretty penny.
Okay? We get it. We are not one of those families that's trust fund babies that has a ton of money.
Oh, man.
Great. So we get it. But if you can, put in your back pocket for an emergency fund, probably about $2,000. Having an emergency fund is just, it will help so much in that moment of need.
For sure. Okay, everyone thinks like, oh, I've got my phone number list, my mom, dad, next door neighbor, yada, yada. Let's think about it differently.
Let's think about it broader.
Yeah, because those numbers and those family members are critically important.
Yes.
But let's talk about resourceful friends. There are friends that you may have all over the country.
They have a network of resources or a network of friends, right? We can only do so much, but then we may know 5 very close friends or family that their net can cast larger.
Right.
Who are your net buddies? Who are your net friends that can cast that net and say, hey, we have a family in need, cast the net.
Yep, and maybe you approach them at some point before you travel and say, hey man, if I have a situation ever that arises, can I call on you for anything that might arise, whether it's a place to stay, a place to drive, a place to park, go on down the list.
Yeah.
And if that friend says, yeah.
Well, because they might be able to have an hour where they can start researching RV parks, because guys, let me tell you, I was on the phone and on the internet for hours and hours and hours in the hospital. And you might have a friend that says, if you're ever in a pinch, you call on me and I'll do those things for you.
Right.
Or even if they can just help you stay calm, know who that friend is too, who's not gonna be like, oh my gosh,
oh man.
On the other end of the line, and you're like, and they're like, ah!
That is really such a great piece of advice, because you definitely want someone who's going to be calm in the midst of a storm.
Yeah.
You definitely don't want someone who's just going to rush to the attention of it to only ramp things up. You really want someone who's going to be able to see through it and think level-headedly and make decisions, right?
Yes.
So, speaking of being level-headed, try to keep a clear mind when you're dealing in an emergency or even post-emergency plan.
Yeah, that is easier said than done, guys, and we know it firsthand right now, we know it. But if you can just take even 5 minutes to clear your mind, get into a place that you can make better decisions.
Yeah. Let's have a little moment, just you and I real quick. This is a dad moment. I have asked our kids 5 questions, basically most of their whole lives. And one of those questions is, where are you gonna live today? And the answer is?
Above the chaos.
That question and the answer is critically important to just reminding yourself, right?
In any time of crisis or emergency or stressful moment, where are you going to live today, right now, above the chaos? Right,
because imagine this. Imagine all the chaos of a situation down here. It's dusty, it's noisy, it's messy, it's busy. There's lots of stuff going on. Well, in order to hear and see correctly, you
think correctly.
Yes, you have to have your head, even if just barely, above that chaos. You'll make clearer, better, healthier decisions for any situation.
So much easier said than done, guys.
Yeah.
We know we are putting it into play. We had to put it into play. But do whatever quick crisis method you can think of to get yourself into a clear space to make good decisions.
Yeah. So where are you going to live today?
Above the chaos. We want to say thank you
Yeah, man, the outpouring of love, support, and prayers from you guys, it really moved our family. We shared the comments.
We literally read them out loud as a family because to hear all of the support and encouragement from you guys really was nurturing for every one of us during this time, and really touched us to hear some of the stories that you guys have been through.
Oh man.
And just offering to help, and you guys are kind of really blowing our minds.
In a moment of need, you more than stepped up to the plate, and we could feel the support literally in our own lives. And that, guys, thank you seems so small.
It does, because and I'll tell you what it's resulted in. A tremendous amount of peace in a very stressful situation.
For sure.
A huge sense of support, knowing that sometimes when you're out here RVing, it can feel pretty lonely, to be quite honest with you. So it really felt like we weren't alone at all. Our families are all in other states.
Right. It felt like we could literally lean on you. Like we felt like we could depend on if we reached out when somebody said, hey, what do you need? We felt like we could have said, we need this, and the answer would have been, you got it.
Yeah, we really felt like there was so many people that we were leaning on that was holding us up.
Yeah.
And Kian he's in a lot of pain. There's no getting around it. He's in a lot of pain. And it requires help from Jason, help from myself, help from Silas. We are all pitching in and doing.
It's an all hands on deck family effort. And you know what? We feel honored that we get to help a young man, and we realize it could have been a lot worse.
You know, we're just taking it one day at a time, and that's all we can do. We are here until further notice. We have no idea what to expect of where we're gonna go or how we're gonna get there, because he cannot even sit in the back seat of our truck.
That is correct. So that is a little bit of a luxury when talking about a full-time RV life. It gives us the flexibility to stay where we need to stay and not feel like, oh my gosh, we have to get back to X location because we need to be there. So we are very grateful for that.
Hey! Thankfully, we don't make reservations. That's one plus.
I mean, that's a silver lining look right there, isn't it?
So there's not any reservations to cancel except for the ones that we had in Tahoe, and that's long gone. So there's no long-term reservations that we really have to cancel. Yes, we had plans. Yes, we had direction. We were supposed to be in the redwoods right now. But that is all like this in comparison to taking care of your family. So,
but dude, man, the expense of a RV park, we are learning that expense is for real, people.
We're used to boondocking, or even staying in places that, you know, hey, you can camp here. We don't have any hookups, and it's $10. No worries. But woohoo!
Sweet.
This is really different experience.
Yes.
And okay, so there you have it. We're taking it day by day. Every day is getting better. We're just figuring it out as it goes.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We just so much appreciate you. We cannot say it enough.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.
You brought to life the lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. So, I mean, it really.
You should have stuck out with that. That would have been so cool.